Hey everyone, hope you're doing good. I just want to thank everyone who watched my first couple videos. I never thought I'd make it to 100 subscribers that fast. It means a lot to me. Truly, thank you. Thank you everyone who subscribed, and thank you if you subscribed to this video. But let's get into it. I've been thinking a lot lately about older video games and how they came with manuals and just how cool they were. And I came across the Halo CE manual, and it really is just a masterclass in how to construct a manual. It rides the perfect balance between not being required reading for the game, but if you do read it, it greatly enhances the game. Like, Halo CE is great on its own, but the little tidbits and lore and backstory you get from the manual just is outstanding. It's so great. And today I'm gonna go through it with you and go page by page and just talk about how cool it is and celebrate it, because it really is awesome. First, we start off with the back and front covers of the manual. And on the back cover, we have a great picture of the Duke controller, along with the controls for the game. Just awesome. Remember when games had intention behind their controls? They didn't have an endless variety of remappable buttons or button combos to choose from. There wasn't a correct or meta version you should be picking. It just was given to you as is, and I don't necessarily have a problem with remappable controls, especially for people who have a disability or handicap that literally doesn't allow them to use a controller regularly. But I'm pretty tired of so many modern games having endlessly remappable controls, because inevitably you have to go online and see which is the correct meta control scheme to have, rather than just being given the one control scheme of the game. Really makes it a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and I just miss those white and black buttons, don't you? Next, we move on to the gorgeous cover. Look at that. I really like the close-up of the Halo ring in a higher resolution than you would have gotten on the Xbox, and seeing the Halo Combat Evolved like lettering and font without its kind of standard background design is also just really cool and interesting. Just really cool also that the manual art is different than the game's box art, because that often is not the case. Usually it's the exact same. And also, I just can't help but wonder what those little boxes and text are. They're too small to read, but just adds to the wonder and mystique of the Halo ring. Just really cool. And of course, you got the only on Xbox banner at the top. Just fun. Great. Then we move on to the first two pages of the manual. And while they're not the most interesting pages from an information standpoint, it's just safety information on the left about if you're prone to seizures, watch out, and how to not damage your enormous projection screen TV. And on the right, just a table of contents for what's in the manual. But can we just appreciate the gorgeous background and that it's in full color, which many manuals weren't. A lot of them cheaped out and were just black and white. Seeing the trees and the Halo ring and the cool, I don't even know what to call it, design. You can see the Reclaimer sign in the background on the right-hand page. Just really cool, adds to the atmosphere. Great stuff. Just really perfect. On the next two pages, we have more basic stuff on operations of the Xbox console and the controller, but still in cool full color and with a moody background that really continues to add to the atmosphere of the manual, if that makes sense. Cool stuff. Next, we have by far my favorite two pages of the manual, and that is this Story So Far prologue. It talks about essentially the entire plot of Halo right up to the point of the game starting. It's perfect, all killer, no filler prologue that gets you perfectly up to date on what's going on in universe right up to the start of the game. There's all the details you need, nothing more, and I made a separate video just reading through and going into how cool this is, and that, again, moody, cool, ambient picture of the Pillar of Autumn there. Just great stuff. Perfect. This is really what brings this manual to the next level. You can play through the game and think that was an awesome story, and then you read this, and it makes everything pop, like come into color, have so much more context. It just makes it all perfect, and you don't have to sit through kind of tedious novel that will not really it won't give you all this information nearly as quickly or as concisely. It's perfect. These 2 pages really bring the manual to the next level. It's just fantastic. Please go watch my other video directly on this prologue. It's just so good. Makes you just fired up and want to play the game immediately. Great stuff. We continue on to the next 2 pages where we have a description of what the options are on the title screen and how to load and save your game. Again, not the most interesting pages, but still has that really cool background and continues that cool Y2K aesthetic. Next, we get some background on the Pillar of Autumn, Captain Keyes, the Marines, and Cortana. Not a ton of info here, but just enough to get a vibe check on these in-game elements. Also, in my book, the games, and by extension their manuals, are the true canon of the Halo universe, and that being the case also means Master Chief is indeed the last Spartan 2, as it says here. The novels are non-canon in my book, or at least just a separate canon, because they contradict the games all over the place. But yeah, good stuff here, cool pictures. I especially like this picture of the group of Marines together. The camaraderie in it just comes through. It's pretty cool. The next 2 pages are on the Covenant. It doesn't say a great deal that isn't clear from just playing the game. Other than that, the Covenant have had a lot of success in wiping out humanity. Very few have ever been captured alive, and that they're religiously motivated. There's not much else to go on here. It does say that the grunts are 5 feet tall and their armor houses a life support system. You can kind of tell that by looking at them, that gas mask look. I love the part about one grunt being easy to defeat, but a group being able to easily overwhelm a careless Marine. It's almost like this would be a pamphlet handed out by the UNSC. It's just cool stuff. It also talks about the Jackals being assassins, which I guess makes sense, especially that in the later games they're snipers, but never really thought of them that way. The elites are, it's the most straightforward description. They have energy shielding, just like you, the player. And I always loved this tidbit about the hunters. They carry an enormous and nearly impervious metal shield made of an unknown alloy. That is so cool. And the hunter just looks so cool in its battle stance. The hunter really is definitely my favorite design of any of the Covenant species. So cool. Next we have Fighting the Enemy. You are the Master Chief, all that remains of a classified military project to build a series of genetically enhanced super soldiers. You are humanity's last and best hope against the Covenant, but you're woefully outmatched, and survival is not guaranteed. That feels so cool to read. My inner 10-year-old is freaking out right now. I just love that little paragraph so much. Next it talks about the Mjolnir armor itself and how it was developed and some kind of techno-babble on how it works and that you have energy shields and whatnot. Fun to read, but doesn't really give you a ton of insight. And on the right, it talks about every element of your HUD, and even what HUD means, heads-up display, if you didn't know. And yeah, we have a different background too. Looks like a Forerunner structure from the Silent Cartographer, I think. But in that moody blue with the designs in the background, just good fun stuff. Great graphic design. All around good stuff here. The next pages go in depth on individual HUD elements as well as just different gameplay features. You have the weapon indicator, targeting reticle, navigation points, flashlight indicator, health and shield indicators, direction of fire indicator, motion tracker, and scope zoom. They're all fairly self-explanatory. If you've played the game, you know what they all are already, but this might be helpful for someone who just really isn't that into video games or doesn't know what to look for with these things. And some of these were genuinely fairly new at the time. Like, zooming your scope with just a button push was like a not super common thing. And a motion tracker wasn't super common either. And a direction of fire indicator. All of those things are like fairly new when Halo came out. So yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff seems to be my catchphrase. On the next couple pages we have melee fighting and human weapons. The description here is pretty funny. Melee fighting involves the use of the weapon in your hands as a blunt instrument to ward off attackers. This is handy when the enemy is in close or when you're out of ammo and want to keep dishing out the pain. Your ability to fight in melee mode varies from weapon to weapon, so experiment to find the best weapon for the situation. To use melee fighting, press the B button. Then you just have a brief description of human weapons, you have the grenade, you have the M6D pistol, which shoots 50 Action Express, which is insane. Insane that guys, you know, these sort of office worker type guys on the Pillar of Autumn are just one-handing these things, just laying into elites and grunts with it. Pretty impressive. They must have some serious wrist strength in the future. And the assault rifle here, shooting 7.62 NATO full auto at that speed is also crazy. I've always assumed there's some kind of special anti-gravity technology in this assault rifle to be able to handle that kind of recoil. They tried, in the conflict in Vietnam, they tried a full auto 7.62 NATO gun, the US did, and it was completely uncontrollable. So it's kind of funny to see it here. But yeah, cool stuff. Next we have the M90 shotgun. That is an 8-gauge pump-action shotgun that shoots 3.5-inch mag shot shells, which is crazy. In the modern 12-gauge, we didn't get 3.5-inch mag 12-gauge shotguns until like the mid-90s, somewhere in there. So I mean, this existing is just pretty crazy. And like the standard shot shell length for a modern 12-gauge is 2 3/4 inches. So like that's just that much extra buckshot going down. Then we have the sweet sniper rifle, basically an anti-material rifle, blah blah. Technobabble if you don't care about guns. Then the M19 rocket launcher, super fun. I never realized as a kid that you actually see the barrels rotate. I didn't know what I thought, but it's pretty fun. Pretty cool design. Probably the most unique human gun design of everything. That and probably the Magnum. Then you have the Warthog, Gatling gun. Kinda not much to say about it, you know. We all know it. We all love it. Yeah. Next we have the Covenant weapons. And you'll notice a lack of energy sword and fuel rod cannon. But yeah. First we have the plasma rifle, which I've always preferred the plasma rifle in this game over every other iteration. It feels a little bit longer, more sleek. It just has a cooler feel all around, better sound. I also like how the plasma effects work when you shoot like a wall. It's almost like a burst of liquid onto the wall. It's really cool. Same goes for the plasma pistol. Best iteration, best sound of the shots. It sounds so cool. I remember the first time playing Halo, I played it at my uncle's house, and they had a full Dolby 5.1 surround sound, and these guns in particular sounded great with a subwoofer. Really cool. And then we have the Needler, which is far and away best gun in the entire series, coolest, most iconic, the Needler. There's a reason at the Breaking Benjamin concert, the guy dressed as Master Chief had a Needler. Not an assault rifle, not a BR, a Needler. That is the quintessential Halo gun. People don't always realize that, but it is. Then we have the most awkward looking thing in the world, the Shade Turret. Super inaccurate, kind of a weird thing, and I never really missed it in later games. And then the Plasma Grenade, another top tier Halo weapon. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows what a plasma grenade is. Good stuff. Truly iconic. Just great. And I love seeing all these descriptions, like talking about the angle of impact of the Needler needles and how they're effective and not effective. It's just really fun, cool stuff. Yeah. Next, we have a couple pages on the vehicles. I like this little bit here. Getting around on Halo. Halo is vast and you will need to cover a lot of ground quickly, so vehicles are indispensable. Therefore, hijacking Covenant vehicles is useful and necessary. The strength provided by your Mjolnir armor allows you to right overturned vehicles by standing next to the vehicle and pressing the X button. So that's just so cool. I really like that they use the context of your, armor, the Mjolnir armor, making you able to overturn tipped over vehicles. Whereas like Marines can't because they don't have that strength. Just cool stuff. First we have the Warthog, which interestingly it just does not say that here. Only says that in game. But M12 LRV, I guess that's the military designation of it. But yeah, you know the Warthog. Then we have the Scorpion, super cool. And get this, it looks like a scorpion. The cannon's like a scorpion tail. Get it? Then we have Covenant vehicles. You may encounter the following standard Covenant vehicles on Halo. Just the Ghost and the Banshee, that's all we see. That's all we can drive anyways. But yeah, cool stuff. I always liked that the Covenant vehicles had like spooky, spiritual names. Good names for bad guy vehicles, But yeah, good stuff. Next we have Starting Multiplayer, where it explains how cooperative and competitive play works, or like versus play. And interestingly, I see a health pack here that I don't ever remember seeing in game. Is this anywhere? It looks like an asset that wasn't used. And also kind of neat, below the active camouflage, I think that's Needler ammo, which you also hardly ever see. I think you only see it on 343 Guilty Spark. But yeah, on the next page there's, how to do split screen and system link play, which is super cool. They even have a how-to on doing that, because it would have been quite a mystery for a lot of people. I know I definitely did not know what an Ethernet cable was in 2001, but I was also a child, so yeah, but cool stuff. Next we have the multiplayer game types. Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, Slayer, Oddball, Race. Just fun stuff. We have the About Bungie segment where they talk about their goal of world domination, which I think they may have gotten rid of, which is, not as fun. Then the credits, which is shockingly short compared to many modern games. But yeah, good stuff. Last and also least, we have warranty information, pretty boring. And then we have Get an Edge on the Game, where you can call in and pay $6 a minute for them to tell you you can't drive the Wraith. And Sergeant Johnson is able to just die many times. Well, they don't even know. They wouldn't even have known Sergeant Johnson's name at that point. But yeah, he can die many times. Any other questions? No? That'll be $12 actually. But yeah. So yeah, that's the Halo CE manual. Really a mastercraft in manuals. Really makes the whole game pop in like a more deeper sense of color than almost any other video game manual I've ever read. It's really good stuff, top notch. Like, yeah. And it's also not required reading, which is also good, because designing a game where you have to like read to understand what's going on is not great. But having it be where when you do read the manual, it just makes everything just that much more heightened and good is perfect. That's what it should be there to do. But yeah, that's it. Have a good one. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this far. Yeah, have a good one.